I mentioned already, though, that we didn't think we thought that all those who lived in Herculaneum had escaped from Vesuvius, but it turns out that was not, in fact, the case. As recently as the 1980s, some archaeologists were doing some excavating down at the seawalls of the city of Herculaneum. And lo and behold, they came upon a cache of skeletons. And I show you some of those skeletons here. And those skeletons are in the same kinds of positions as the bodies that we saw at Pompeii, in that clearly a number of them have huddled together for the protection, futile protection as it turned out. And here another one who's raising himself or herself in an attempt to survive somehow this awful event that has occurred. We find these skeletons, and they found these skeletons near the seawall. And what they've concluded from this, two things. One, again, the difference in the lava that fell on Herculaneum. We can see that it not only preserved wood, it also preserved bone, which is why the skeletons are still visible here, whereas at Pompeii, everything decomposed at Pompeii. So the situation, again, quite different. But they've also been able to determine that what clearly happened here is, again, because there was so much notice, people fled. And where did they flee? They fled toward the water because they were right on the sea. They had a lot of boats, and the hope was that they could ferry everybody out from the city. And for the most part, they were successful. But there was a certain group that unfortunately got left behind, and it was their remains that were discovered in the 1980s. It's amazing what these bodies can tell us about some of the people who lived there, and I'll just give you a little sense of a couple of the storylines. Here is the skeleton of a woman, and you can see that this woman has, if you look very closely at her left hand, two of her fingers, you can see she has rings on two of her fingers, and those are larger views of those very rings, two rings with green and red stones. The red stone you can see has a little bird depicted on it. These were her rings. Consequently, the archaeologists call her the ring lady, or should be the rings lady. But here she is with her two rings, and you can see that she also had next to her side these two absolutely gorgeous golden snake bracelets, sort of a la Cleopatra-esque, that she obviously loved and took with her when she attempted to escape from the city. And an even more poignant story is this one. What we're looking at here is the head of a woman, a young woman, the excavators have determined. And if you look at the top of her head, you will see that a tuft of hair is actually preserved. It looks dark in this image, but it's actually blonde. So they've been able to determine this was a young blonde woman who lived in Herculaneum. And you can see the small size of the skeleton below. This is not hers. It's obviously the fetus, the baby. She was 7 months pregnant, they've been able to determine. And so they have found the bones of the baby as well. And you can see them here in the excavators, the excavation reports. They talk about the fact that the bones of the baby, of the infant, of the unborn child, are so fragile that it was like picking up eggshells when they were trying to piece this skeleton together. So it's incredible the kind of information that archaeologists have been able to glean from those trying to escape Herculaneum on that fateful day in August of '79.